Okay, the last thing in the world you would want to do to a sick person is bleed them, right? In the modern world, I think we understand that oxygen is carried by the blood cells, and you know, and if there's that phrase, right? A triage phrase. What's the first thing you do in an injury? Stop the bleeding. Single first thing, right? You show up after any action. I look at you, stop the bleeding, because you're going to be dead in a matter of minutes if you bleed out. So it strikes me as being ironic that orthodox conventional wisdom was bleed the patient to death. And this was the most important patient in the country, maybe in the history of the country. And we bled him to death, trying to help him. So when you're actually inflating the money supply at 7%, but you're calling it 2% because you want to help the economy, you're literally bleeding the free market to death. But the sad fact is George Washington went along with it because he thought that they were going to do him good. And the majority of the society, most companies, most conventional thinkers, the working class, they go along with this because they think that someone has their best interest in mind. And the people that are bleeding them to death believe that prescription because their mental models are just so defective. And their understanding of energy and engineering and the economics that are at play is crippled by these mental models.
But that's both the bug and the feature of human civilization, that ideas take hold, they unite us, we believe in them, and we make a lot of cool stuff happen by, as an average sort of, just the fact of the matter, a lot of people believe the same thing. They get together and they get some shit done because they believe that thing. And then some ideas can be really bad and really destructive, but on average, the ideas seem to be progressing in the direction of good. Let me just step back. What the hell are we doing here, us humans on this earth? How do you think of humans? How special are humans? How did human civilization originate on this earth? And what is this human project that we're all taking on? You mentioned fire and water, and apparently bleeding you to death is not a good idea. I always thought you can get the demons out in that way, but that was a recent invention. So what's this thing we're doing here?
I think what distinguishes human beings from all the other creatures on the earth is our ability to engineer. We're engineers, right?
To solve problems or just build incredible, cool things?
Engineering, harnessing energy and technique to make the world a better place than you found it. Right? From the point that we actually started to play with fire, right? That was a big leap forward. Harnessing the power of kinetic energy and missiles, another step forward. Every city built on water. Why water? Well, water's bringing energy, right? If you actually put a turbine, on a river, or you capture a change in elevation of water, you've literally harnessed gravitational energy. But water is also bringing you food. It's also giving you, a cheap form of getting rid of your waste. It's also giving you free transportation. You want to move 1-ton blocks around, you want to move them in water. So I think, the human story is really the story of engineering a better world. And the rise in the human condition is determined by those groups of people, those civilizations that were best at harnessing energy. Right? If you look, the Greek civilization, they built it around ports and seaports and water, and created a trading network. The Romans were really good at harnessing all sorts of engineering. The aqueducts are a great example. If you go to any big city, you travel through cities in the Med, you find that The carrying capacity of the city or the island is 5,000 people without running water. And then if you can find a way to bring water to it, it increases by a factor of 10. And so human flourishing is really only possible through that channeling of energy, right? That eventually takes the form of air power, right? I mean, that ship, look at the intricacy of those sails. Right? I mean, it's just the model is intricate. Now think about all of the experimentation that took place to figure out how many sails to put on that ship and how to rig them and how to repair them and how to operate them.
There's thousands of lives spent thinking through all the tiny little details, all to increase the efficiency of this, the effectiveness, the efficiency of this ship as it sails through water. And we should also note there's a bunch of cannons on the side. So obviously
another form of engineering, right? Energy harnessing with explosives.
To achieve what end? That's another discussion. Exactly.
Suppose we're trying to get off the planet, right?
Well, there's a selection mechanism going on. So natural selection, however evolution works, it seems that one of the interesting inventions on Earth was the predator-prey dynamic. That you want to be the bigger fish. That violence seems to serve a useful purpose if you look at Earth as a whole. We, as humans, now like to think of violence as really a bad thing. It seems to be one of the amazing things about humans is we're ultimately tend towards cooperation. We like peace. If you just look at history, we want things to be nice and calm, but just wars break out every once in a while and lead to immense suffering and destruction and so on. And they have a kind of like resetting the palette